Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me, Lisa Lamont, for another exciting show of Ladies Get Your Prance On. And I am so excited to have my guest, Joy Balma, back in the house. Welcome, Joy.
Woohoo! Hey!
I am so excited. You know, one of the things that I learned about Joy before we started the show was that, I don't know if any of you know this, but she was an acupuncturist for over 15 years. So she's actually a healer / author of her book that I Am Your Biggest Cheerleader. So we first got to get this out of the way. We've got to get this out of the way. Joy wrote this book called Rock Your Feminine Type. And do you have the book to show us? Okay. I am her number one groupie. I am her number one groupie. This book absolutely changed my life. I am telling you, you know, we have all these personality traits and types. You know, there's Myers-Briggs and different personality styles. But what was so unique and so different about Joy's book was that she talks about our feminine type for business entrepreneurs. And when I took Joy's test, I found out that I was a double nurturer, you know, and that wasn't too surprising. But what the part that was the game changer was that my shadow self, what is my shadow personality? And that was, when I took the test, was a diva. Like the diva was my shadow self. And Joy explains how to embrace our shadow self and embrace that to work with my double nurturer to be successful in business. So we all have these yin and these yangs to our personality. So Joy, welcome.
Hey, Lisa, my friend. I am so excited. We have been on quite a journey together. You were the first person to interview me. I sent you my book, and we're going to have an interview in 2 weeks. And by the time we got to each other, you were like on fire because you had discovered your diva was in the shadow. And you know, it's really about finding out where we're giving our power away. And we don't have to. It's a choice. It's just that we forget it's a choice. And so the book helps you to figured that out in 2 weeks, and you were like a house on fire.
Yeah.
And you continue to be.
It was an absolute game changer. So for the people that are watching, because I kind of want to talk about the first book, because those of you, we're going to share the secret today, but Joy is working on her second follow-up book, and I'm so excited. So we're going to talk about that. But can you share with the people who may not have read the first book to understand, sure, what is a double nurture? What does that mean?
Right. Well, you know, that's kind of a hard question, but you know, it's a personality type book, and we all do tend to have our gifts. And so with any personality type, you have strengths and you have challenges. So when you can identify your particular pattern, your particular type, it's just like, whew, it's like opening Pandora's box, because it's hard to see ourselves. Yeah. You know, we're just busy being ourselves. So I wanted to write this book to help women to see themselves clearly, both their feminine superpowers and the way they give up their power. So sometimes we miss both of those. Yeah. Because we, you know, it's not, you know, we're not programmed to know what our greatness is. We, you know, we're supposed to like stay in the middle, just, you know, kind of neutral. You know, we don't know, hey, what's great about us? It's like, then we would be self-centered if we like went around saying how great we are. But I think what a lot of women responded to me about the book was they loved finding out what was so great about them, you know, because they didn't know. And like, you found out you were a double nurturer, and that's kind of like, I would call it like your accommodating good girl. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. And so you have accommodating good girls is one type. You have your, you know, wild rebel creatives is another type. You have your boss lady leaders is another type, and you have your expert smarty pants is another type. And when you understand where you fall, now my system's sophisticated, as you know, you're two types. You can, you know, you're more than just one type. Yeah. But you find out then where you've left your power, right? Like you realize you're diva. Does that help? That
explains it perfectly, because when I first read your book and I found out my shadow self was the diva, and then you have a description of the diva, because some people's dominant personality is the diva.
Right.
And so that's where they excel. but at the same time, it's that shadow self. Like, so for a diva, for example, the part that I'm embracing to combine with my double nurturer, that helps me to stand in, as Joey Garrity would say, in my spotlight. You know, she talks about spotlight, to stand in it. And I stayed in the shadows because I wanted to help people, but in order to do that, I had to be seen. Like, I had to stand, be the diva. And so that's what I found very interesting. So what is your personality type, if you would like to share that with us?
Sure. Well, I also have some good girl in me, but I've got one foot in the good girl and one foot in the rebel creative. So I'm
laughing because I can still see you.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
But it's interesting what you were saying, because so much of the accommodating nurturer women can get really stuck in, you know, and then they go out and try and have a business, and it's like, oh, I've got to talk about money, I've got to keep boundaries, I've got to stand in my spotlight, I've got to be focused on myself, you know. And there really are, so the diva is often, or the success girl is often in the shadow for a lot of women. And the problem with that, and what's so great about my book and just knowing it, is that you don't have to leave those things on the sideline. If you do, you're going to struggle, right? If you just stayed as a double nurturer, you're always going to have the gifts of the double nurturer. That's not going to change. But why not add on, hey, why can't I kick some ass and be the leader too?
Yeah.
You know, of my own business. You've got to be believe in yourself.
I think too, you struck on that too. It isn't just standing in your spotlight, but as a double nurturer, or even single nurturer, just that nurture aspect is that we are afraid to charge for our services. I cannot tell you how many card readings I would give away, because one of my tools I use is I'm an intuitive. You know,
right.
I read cards, and I would give away so many card readings because I didn't believe in myself. Even though I knew I was good, I knew the feedback was good, but I was giving it away. And I realized as embracing the diva, it isn't being conceited or vain, but it's about, I wasn't honoring the person I was doing the reading for. I wasn't giving them any value. Your value for my insight is zero. Your worth is zero.
Right.
And that's what I mean, seriously, it was just like, I was doing a disservice not only for myself, but for the people that work with me. And so now that I've embraced that part, my business is booming. Yeah. You know, I have more and more people coming, because when people invest in themselves and they invest in seeing what's blocking them, you know, via my readings or per se, then they too can be successful. Then they can launch. And I always have my clients tell them to get your book. I am like your number one fan, because it has been an absolute game changer for me.
Thank you so much. Well, you know, I wrote a blog post about when are you treating your business like a thrift store? People can come in, just get things for free, and then they don't. And you think about it, you know, then they're not going to really value it. Hey, when you get something at the thrift store for 50 cents or $3 or whatever, how much do you value that, as opposed to going, you know, when you get something and you pay $300, or, you know, I mean, you establish your own value. And a lot of times women, because we're nurturers, especially double nurturers, I mean, I have a foot in the nurturers too. I know, I'm completely aware of what you're saying is just, we've got to learn to temper our giving so that it's serving not only us, but as you said, the client. It doesn't really serve the client for you to devalue what you're offering. And I think we've talked about this before, you know, sometimes the feminine arts can be devalued, such as service. And so we get into a little bit of a conundrum, Lisa, where it's like, am I taking care of myself, or am I taking care of someone else? Like, how do I manage that part of my business, you know? Because we all want to be givers. We all want to be helpers.
We do. So what inspired you to write your first book, Rock Your Feminine Type?
Right. Well, I think it was pretty much the nurturer aspect of myself that had driven my life into a ditch, which with excess giving and excess focusing on everybody else. Yeah. As a healer, you know, I love what I do. Don't get me wrong. I won't change myself, but there's there was some lessons to be learned in how to speak up, how to keep boundaries, how to say no. That had created kind of a firestorm in my life. And I couldn't see that I was doing this though. Now I can speak of it, but at the time, I had to really figure out, okay, why am I like screwing up my life here? Like, what do I need to know? So I've been a personality type expert for 20 years. I studied it when I got my degree in psychology. So I went to work, Lisa. I went to work. I started looking at myself, and I've always been into self-inquiry and reflecting on myself to make changes. But I went, full into it to create this system. It's called the Feminine Type Success System. So there's actually a system in my book where you can. So it was really out of personal need, Lisa, to create the book, to look at patterns of why does this happen? And it's really about women's power underneath it all. How do we give up our power? How do we give it away?
And more women are coming together. I see that. I mean, I've been in business for over 5 years, self-employed, and I am seeing this movement of women coming together. And we have this fear, and I still have it happen. I still have people that hurt me, that hurt my feelings. And because of your book which is one of the most important books in my life, is to understand that the quote, I could be the juiciest, ripest peach on the tree, but there's going to still be people who hate peaches. And so I've embraced that quote this last year since reading your book, and realized that that's okay, that all people aren't going to like me. Not all people are going to agree with what I do for a living.
Well, I love what you're saying so much, because the good girl or the nurturer, we get sort of cornered, and then we can't move out. It's like we put ourselves in a box, and if we step out of it, it's scary. And you're saying, hey, I'm willing for anybody to judge me as inadequate, as a bitch, as whatever you want to judge me as, or that's not my business, that's your business. Yeah. So your awareness of that is like, because I'm writing a new book. I think you mentioned that. And, I talk about this, about how we can play small because we're afraid of, the judgment of other people. And there's a lot of ways that we give up our power.
Yeah.
So you've learned like how am I giving up my power? I don't want to do that. Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
And it's scary. It's scary to be vulnerable. It's scary to put yourself out there. And that's so I want to talk about your book that's coming up. So if you could give us a little teaser about what it's about, and who is the ideal person that would read this book? Is it strictly for entrepreneurs, or is it for all women?
Well, one of the things I say in the new book is about, there is this nurturer in all women. Whether you think you're confident, because I actually thought I was a confident, powerful woman, before I started to, write this first book. Yeah. And I realized, my type, and how I was kind of sabotaging myself. So this book goes into really focusing on the nurturers and how they give up their power and how they play small. And so it's another book like this one where I'm going to talk about types. I'm going to talk about where you're giving up your power, where your strengths are, but focusing primarily on the nurturers in this book.
Have you found in your business, besides the book, but your actual business, because you have an actual program, like you said, a system that helps people, have you found that you attract more nurturers? So is that kind of one of the reasons that you felt inspired to write this book?
I felt inspired to write this book because there is a way that women can't see how this nurturer good girl is in them. And I mean, it's pervades every area of our life, your relationship with your body, with spirituality, with people, with clients. It's just so much. And I think also, again, I'm always using my own experience. This past year, really stepping out with my book and my business, has brought all kinds of issues about boundaries and speaking up. It's like, oh my gosh, I thought I was over this. You go to a new level. You keep going to a new level.
Yeah.
And if you're not aware of it, it can just really mess with your mind. It's like, why aren't I doing that? Or, it's just, yeah. The universe is bringing me lessons.
Well, and we do have lessons, and we have things that show up in our life that are out of our control. Like we have personal stuff. So even though we're business entrepreneurs and we support one another, we still have stuff that shows up in our life that is out of control. We have, with our children, our parents, for us that are older, our parents who are older, we have them to deal with. We have children that are, people of the younger children, they have all that going on with their, getting them in sports and, trouble at school and bullying. And then you have them going off to college and dealing with that. I mean, we always have new things that are showing up in our life that come out of our control. I mean, these things show up and they happen and they throw us off track.
And I guess I'm talking about the things that are in our control, Lisa. Like, why aren't I speaking up to that person when they've crossed a boundary of mine? Like, has that ever happened to you? Like,
yeah. Hello.
You're like, why aren't I just talking? It's because, we're afraid of a disagreement or someone's going to feel bad about themselves. Or, so then what happens to the nurturer is then they feel like a victim because they don't speak up. It becomes like a death spiral that we put ourselves in.
Prior to your book, Joy, if I had a shelf, I would have trophies of victim and blame on my shelf behind me, because I would blame others, or I was a victim and so did this to me.
Right. And so as nurturers, we have to, and all women are nurturers, and I'm really clear on that in my books. Like, even if you think you're a confident, powerful woman, there is, a nurturer in you. And anyway, I just think it's just especially right now, what's going on, and women are coming out more and more in their power, in the larger stage of life that we're watching right now, and I find it really fascinating because they're holding an enormous amount of energy.
Yeah.
For us, they're not backing down. They're speaking up. They're, we're talking about not only just politics, but other women world leaders. It's we're getting to a tipping point, and it's really up to women. It's really up to women. The more that we own our power, the less that it's going to be. Like I say, we're not victims.
No, we're not.
No is a full sentence, right?
It is. No is no. No is no. One of the things I wrote down that I wanted to ask you about too is there's a lot of books out there and a lot of talk about women embracing our creativity, because we've kind of stifled our inner child of letting that creative side out. And you talk about that in the book. Can you share that with the people watching the show, what that means for the creative girl?
Well, there's a way in which, when we put ourselves in this corner, this box, we lose like full expression.
Yes. Yeah.
And we're not fully expressed. And that includes the way we dress, the way we talk, the way we interact with people, the way we want to express ourselves. Yeah. And that can be any creative act. And so it's about freedom. So the creatives, that personality is about freedom and self-expression. And so I don't know if that's answering your question.
It is, because the reason why I wanted to bring that up is so people can understand that we don't have to no longer hold back our creativity. It's
right, yeah, exactly.
It's okay to say no, without getting, and here's the other thing that women tend to do, and men may do, but, I hang around with women, is that when people ask us to do something that we really don't want to do, it doesn't serve us, we don't feel good about it, we two things happen. One, when we agree and say, yes, we really don't want to do it, like someone says, can you help me work on this project? And then you show up and you don't want to do it. They sense it. They're like, why didn't you just tell me no, or what's wrong? And then you have to make another excuse. why you're not engaged. Like, oh, I didn't sleep good last night. We're not telling our truth. We continue on the lie. But if we can,
the power of telling the truth.
And simply say no without a reason. Like, why do we feel we have to give them a reason? Other than saying, thank you for asking. Unfortunately, I'm not able to help you. Without going into giving them the reason why we cannot help them. We don't owe them that reason. And maybe
we don't want to disappoint people, and you have to be on top of your own psychology to be aware of the fear of someone being disappointed, and then like, and you never know what they might push on you some more, and then you'd have to come up with another excuse. And so that's why my new book is really goes into all these ways we give up our power because we don't want to disappoint people, we don't want an argument, we don't want to feel like we're not a good person. So it just the layers and levels of our own psychology of being a woman. That's why I write about women.
Yeah.
Because there was a way in which we're in, a box, what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a good woman. And if we're not on top of that psychology, we become vulnerable to asking people to define our worth. Yeah. That's one of the worst, not knowing our value. And you work with that a lot with your work, and we don't know our worth, right, Lisa?
And I love about you, Joyce, so much is that you are so open now. I don't know what you were pre your book. I've only known you now the last couple of years, and you're so open about your vulnerability. Like it's okay to share something that wasn't a success because you grew as a result of having that happen. You were living in California, now you're across the country living in Florida now, and so all these changes, I mean, that's a big jump from, one side to the other.
Yeah. I really believe, this is looking, I'm in my 50s, I'm proud to say. And I look back on my life, I really believe that universal intelligence, God, goddess, whatever you want to call it, moves us, Lisa, where we're supposed to be. And in all the planning and, I want to do, we can have all the intention in the world, but when the universe or when we're called to be somewhere, it's just like, boom, it's going to happen like literally in an instant, literally overnight. Yeah. And, we're always fussing with our lives, I think, trying to position them perfectly. And, there's a way in which the divine feminine, as I like to call it, has her hands on our lives.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And so for people that are watching, they struggle with moving, whether they move their job, their business, their home. There's this fear about giving up because we hear the expression, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And I think that expression in itself has caused many of us to like, well, what if it's not better? Or what if something happens? What if I move to another state and I'm not successful? So fear, it really holds us back because of expressions like that.
Well, yeah, I don't think, that there is what I call a better now. You're not going to find a better now.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, because your now goes with you wherever you go. So I think learning to just be in the now with whatever's happening, and it's just being present to your life and what you're being shown, or with the opportunities to serve others, or to one of the things that I talk about a lot is that we get hung up on perfect pictures of the way things are supposed to be, And again, this is just working our psychology. Like, if I think the perfect idea is such and such, well, I mean, that just creates basically, misery every day, all day long, So we need to look at our perfect pictures of the way things are supposed to be. That's how people get caught up in the grass is greener. Oh, I'm supposed to be doing this at this age, or I'm supposed to have this, or, I mean, we are in control of our happiness, not circumstances.
Yeah.
Every day
we wake up, it's a do-over. every day.
It's Groundhog Day, exactly.
It is, and you know, people are like, you know, I'm miserable, I'm tired. People have this thing about Mondays, and that Monday's my fun day. You know, Monday's a fresh start. Monday's a new week. Monday's a start over. Monday is new beginnings, and that is my message. I try to pound out. You know, every day is a fun day. It's just what, you know, the stories we have going on, and you and I are all about psychology.
It's up to us, you know. Nobody's in charge of us. Nobody's telling us, you know, how much happiness we can have. I mean, I'm just happy looking at the clouds every day. I mean, I'm really simple, you know. You know, just keep it simple.
Well, and you recently, because you live in Florida, I mean, you recently were in the path of this big storm that came through recently.
Yeah.
Can you share with us what what was your takeaway from that experience?
I think how you do everything, or how you do anything, is how you do everything, right? And you know, I take care of my 87-year-old mom, who I call mompreneur for some of you who know. And you know, I wanted to take care of her, so you know, but we just kind of went about things. We got storm shutters put on, and you know, when you have a hurricane, you actually have some time to prepare.
Yeah.
But I noticed you know, there was definitely, you know, some panic involved. I just threw everything I could think of into the car, and I said, okay, well, that's the best I can do. So at some point you say, that's the best I can do. But the thing about it is that we got into the car because we were going to go to a hotel, and I said, Mom, how much fun are we going to have? That's what I asked her on this hurricane adventure. And she's so cute. She goes, a whole lot. I said, a whole lot? Okay, a whole lot. So we had fun. We just had it like we were going to a hotel, and they fed us, and you know, you just hope for the best for everyone. Let's go.
And the wisdom from your mother, 87 years old, and saying we're going to have a whole lot of fun. I mean, how beautiful is that in a situation that, what if she would have said, you know, she could have said exactly the opposite. It's going to be a disaster. It's going to be horrible. But yet she chose to say, we're going to have a lot of fun. Because you can't change the hurricane's coming. I mean, and the reason why I brought it up is it's all about life comes at us, and we don't have control over everything in our life.
Suffering is optional.
Yeah.
Happen. We decide if we're going to suffer. I mean,
yeah.
If the car in front of you is not going fast enough, I mean, that's my spiritual path. I mean, you tell me you are, you know, you're enlightened if you can, you know, go a month without, like, why are you going so slow? You know, just maintaining your peace of mind at all times. That's spirituality.
So share with us, what are your intentions of finishing the book? Is it going to be spring? Is it going to be summer? Do you even know yet?
Well, what's happened is, you know, these books are like babies being born. It's like, you know, I get like a new download of information. So I was pretty much done with the book, and then I got this huge series of downloads. So I'm actually adding to my book right now. And I basically will be finishing it this fall, so it'll be early first of the year. Yeah, it's pretty much done. I'm just adding some few downloads to it.
What are your tips for women who are writing books and they're stuck? Because this is your second book, and I know so many women who are trying to write a book, and they'll write, and then they'll just put it on the back burner. I know people put their book on the shelf for years. You know, they started it, they were like halfway done, and they have intentions. What is your message for people who are writing a book?
Well,
I like that.
Yeah. It's a love-hate adventure. You know, you're going to have days where you're like, I can't do this. Mm-hmm. You're going to have days where you're like, hey, I rock. You know, you're going to have days where, like, I don't know, will this ever end, or like, I don't know how to do this, or and you know, it's kind of like being in business. You have to take one foot in front of the next and not give up. face and slay every dragon that comes your way, and persevere, and know that you have something. If you really feel the passion that you want to share something in particular, that will carry you through, you know. So a little bit of everything in writing a book. Yeah.
I so appreciate you coming on today, Joy, and sharing your journey and coming back, because I've had you on the radio show and now I've changed over to video, because I want the kittens to see my guests and get to know who you are. How can they find you? What's the best way? Facebook, your website? What is the best way so people can learn more about you?
Sure. They can go to joybalma.com, and I'm doing, with the new book, there's going to be so much happening with that after the first of the year. But I have blog posts on that website right now. I have a great quiz if you want to take the quiz to find your feminine archetype. That's on my website, and that would probably be the best way to
Absolutely.
look at.
And I'll also attach a link to this show with your information, your website, and your quiz, because they have to take your quiz to understand. It's such a great starting point. And you can find Joy's book on Amazon, Rock Your Feminine Type. You can just type in Joy Balma, Balma. So Joy, I would love to have you back after you publish your book, so we can keep the party going. If you're willing to do that, I would love to do that. For everybody who joined us today, thank you so much. We had such a good time. Joy, thank you for your schedule, so crazy, for coming. So everybody have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.